All right, we are back here wrapping up the summer movie season here and getting ready for could be a busy fall season of movies here. Join me as always, podcast film critic, Barstool Sports Jon Stanko is here. John, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing fine this evening. How you doing, Mike Phillips?
Doing pretty good, and I don't have to watch the Mets play. It's a good night in my book.
That's true. The Red Sox are up tonight as well. So you know what? We can both save ourselves some misery.
Yeah, to date this podcast here, we are recording this on August 14th. As of course, the Mets are actually winning this game. They're up 6-2 on the Pirates. The Yankees are getting blown out by the Braves 9-2 in Atlanta. So the funeral for the Yankees is underway.
I wish just, I mean, I'm just stoking that fire. I'm churning it. I'm blowing air on it. I'm doing whatever I can to keep it going. It's the only thing giving Red Sox fans joy these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the summer movie season here, I'm also going to mention before we dive deeper into this podcast here that we're recording this during the 2023 WGA and SAG after strikes, and got the later where the writers and the actors currently on strike. John, the movies covered here that would not exist. So we're going to stick on support for the creators in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy time. I think as of this recording, though, they agreed to begin talking. That's
That's,
that's basically the stage they're at.
I
So
think
it's like they've agreed to talk again, but we don't know what the talks are.
I think it's the writers. So I don't even know if the actors got back to the table yet.
No, yeah, it's just the writers. It's just the writers.
Yeah, my suspect with this is that I think they want to get the writers done first, so the writers at least start writing on the negotiate with the actors, have stuff ready to film when they come back.
Right. You stockpile the projects and there's going to be a massive projects come 2025. And so I don't know. I also think the actors have more of a vocal presence in terms of speaking out against the studio. And I wouldn't be surprised if the studio people are going to the writers first because some of the big name actors with platforms to speak on have spoken ill of them. So they're not going to get their money before the writers.
Yeah, and the writers' strike started before this one as well. It started at the end, I think, at the end of May, and the actors started in July. So they might try and wait the actors out a little more.
Yeah, I'm still this is my complete and uneducated guess. Now, I know nothing of the matter, but I think we have a deal done by the end of September.
For
That
both,
that's my take. The writers. I think the actors will follow suit fairly quickly after, because the writers don't have the clout to continue to be on strike with the actors in support. So I think we're going to be end of September is my guess. Completely uneducated, just a complete hypothesis.
all right. So we'll see if this hypothesis comes true by the time this podcast airs. Might be, maybe we're lucky to have a deal done by the time this comes out. So that would be great. But as of recording time, they do not. So we'll see what happens there. But in terms of the summer movie season, how have you enjoyed your summer movie so far?
I've enjoyed it for the most part. Haven't gone to the movies as much as I'd like, between wedding planning and stuff like that. But staying in there, we had the crazy culture phenomenon that was Barbenheimer, which I think rejuvenated movie theaters for a while, which is exciting. And most of the movies have been good. I think the shock is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated movie that came out last weekend, has been a huge hit. People seem to love it. Everyone loves it. So I think good movies are coming out for the most part. The Meg 2 made a ton of money, like I told you it would, even though reviews for it are absolutely terrible. But but I mean the summer movie is churning along, and there's not a lot of superhero movies that are bringing out the box office numbers, which is a fresh change of pace compared to recent years.
Yeah, that's for sure here. And in terms of the Barbenheimer front, did you see both halves of it? Or did you just get to Oppenheimer?
I just got to Oppenheimer. I was gonna go see Barbie. I had my ticket ready, and then an emergency came up at work where I had to just eat a $7 Tuesday night movie ticket. So I have not been able to go see Barbie yet.
All right, so let's talk a little Oppenheimer here. Like, what? Obviously I love this movie. I'm sure you love this movie too. Give me your initial thoughts on your brief thoughts on Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, it. I shouldn't be surprised by Christopher Nolan anymore, but I am. I think this is by far his most well-written movie. Whether or not it's his best, I think that's subjective compared to what you like. But in terms of well-written, Oppenheimer has everything. It paints a incredibly unique character in history and allows the audience to interpret whether or not he did the right thing, whether or not he took the proper steps. It has three distinct acts, all of which are interesting in their own unique way. Personally, the third act of the movie, which is basically like a courtroom drama, absolutely floored me, Mike. It Emma and I are in the movie theater and we're gripping our seats and we're punching each other in the elbow because of the tension that's happening in the third act. I didn't know Nolan could write like that. That fast, witty, kind of undertone dialogue where every single sentence has meaning. Robert Downey Jr. coming out of the clouds just to give a possibly Oscar-worthy performance. Killian Murphy outstanding. The score, the whole entire movie is what movie theaters are made for. If you go in, you're soaked in for 3 hours. The time absolutely flew by. You never looked at your watch once. And it's one of those things, it's very different than like Avatar, which was a 3 hour long movie, but the visual spectacle of it pulls you in. With Oppenheimer, it wasn't necessarily the visuals, it was the story and it was the acting. It was the craft of cinema. I sound like such a pompous person right now, but everything about it was so well done. There was absolutely no weaknesses. It was remarkable to have something that well made, that entertaining, coming together and having millions and millions and millions of people watch it. A profitable movie, a 3 hour adult drama. It's very rare nowadays.
Oh, absolutely is. And I do think I love the fact that he does always play with time in his movies. And this the way he did this was great with the different like color palettes for like each sequence of the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. The black and white, the very like dull, like dark blue tones for the hearing that he was in, and the color for the flashback stuff was great. Plus, like I love the runner of the conversation between Oppenheimer and Einstein throughout the movie, where you don't find where he cut back like 4 or 5 times. At the end, we finally see what the conversation was about. That was a great way to end the movie.
Yeah, no one was able to stitch this together. And again, I think it's his best screenplay of what he's done. I maybe would say Dunkirk is still his best made visual movie in terms of just like ticking and just like the sound in Dunkirk still rings in my ears. But there's no denying that no one has a gift. And this, the fact he won this project, he had this project, brought everyone together, and they all fit. They all fit the parts incredibly well. I want to watch it again because there are going to be names that I missed because all the scientists are being thrown at you like just popcorn kernels popping. But all of it fits together great. And in the end, it kind of says something where you don't know if he did the right things, if he didn't, but you do know he got hosed in whatever situation he was in. And it allows you to interpret whether or not he deserved the hate that he got, whether he deserved to be pushed away or whether he didn't. Did he take enough steps as the maker of the bomb to try and stop it, or did he just simply do his job and give it to the people who were responsible for it? It matters person to person. And I think that's a fascinating thing that no one lets the audience decide. And he doesn't preach either side of it.
Yeah, I do think you mentioned the visuals. Obviously, you think Dunkirk is more of a visual, stunning movie for him. I do think two things that stand out for me visually wise. One is obviously the whole sequence of where they test the bomb, which is incredible. They did that CGI. That is absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah, and I mean it was great. I think that the cut to silence is perfect. I mean it works. He went Last Jedi, frankly. That's another way where the cut to silence just works so effectively. It keeps you still in your seat. It shocks you with the quiet. And it's just all so well done. And I think there's this part of the movie where it's like I have become death, and it's a big thing. And we first hear that quote when uh Oppenheimer is having sex with Florence Pugh's character, and she makes him read it from the book, and he has ecstasy in his eyes, right? He this sense of orgasm with the idea of power and becoming death and becoming a god. Yet the next time we hear it, it's pitch black after he's detonated the bomb and is in the crowd of American flags waving at him while he is stepping through fictional rubble of people in ash, which is a consequence of his bomb. And he sees both sides of being a god and becoming death. And it was such a unique way to use that quote, and to have it in the beginning with sex and all that power, and then to have it at the end where he used that power and now he sees the death that's become of it. It shows how he's a conflicted man and how opinions can change about what you do and about history and how about being intellectually curious, which is how he described himself. You can change opinion, but in a culture that's so set on being one way or another, people who move with culture and move with society and change opinions based off their own feelings, they're often looked at as rather strange and unidentifiable. And that's what Oppenheimer was really.
Yeah, and I also add to that the discussion of the power of like the visualization of like him becoming death, like the scene when he's in the I think it's the high school like gym where he's like giving the speech, and then you see him have these
Yeah.
ashes and like see where he's like the skin's melting off, or like you see what they were having the bomb that dropped on them. Like that's also very chilling.
Yeah, it's chilling. It's a horror movie for a second there. Again, this movie it blends through different types of storytelling, and it's just so good. And again, I can't the third act, the courtroom drama that happens of just retelling all the pieces of the story that were kind of missed, filling in all the blanks from the past via his testimony in this sham kind of court where he's just basically not going to be given security clearance. But it fills in all the holes that we need about him as a character, about things that happened in the past, and about things going forward. And it's outstanding.
Is outstanding here. I feel like they are going to get so many nominations for this movie. Whether it be a Best Picture nom, you figure he's going to get Best Director nom, and they're going to get a bunch of acting nominations as well.
I would hope it gets best screenplay as well, best adapted screenplay. I would really hope it does.
Yeah, for sure here. And Before we get into the movies of the fall year, I'm make a note here. We've had rumors pop up a couple weeks ago, and cool a bit recently, but there's some talk that some of these bigger movies, particularly on the Warner DC side, might get delayed because they're worried about not having actors around for both the products here. Like, I'll put that out there, and that would be discouraging. A couple of the big ones could get impacted by this.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair with the DC movies, does anyone really gonna be upset if they get pushed back? I mean, we got Blue Beetle coming out. No, nobody's going to see that movie, and we got Aquaman, which is in your fall preview here. I think that movie's going to be a massive flop. The Flash was a massive flop. I think DC is fine just pushing these things as far down the road as possible until so it gives them more time to plan what they're going to do with the new movies. The other one that I mean is rumored to be pushed back is Dune Part II, which would be personally devastating for me. But you get it. This is a star-driven movie, and you need your stars to push the movie. It's hard to get adults to go see an epic, nearly 3-hour science fiction drama. Denis Villeneuve managed it with the first Dune. You need the stars to come back to promote the second. And right now, they're not there. So I hope it doesn't happen. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but it's still a possibility, and I'd be pretty disappointed if it happens.
Put a note here. As of August 14th at 9:37 p.m. here, this is the fall movies we're going with here. So we're gonna quickly bounce around here. Bunch of sequels, a couple of new ideas, but mostly sequels. I'll point out that is a little disappointing.
Yeah, but I mean that's the way storytelling is going right now. Sequels make the money. I mean, it's easy to keep reusing IP. And some of these sequels I'm excited for. Some of them not so much, but some of them are going to be reimaginings of a franchise involving a movie that I love dear and close to my heart. So we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I do feel like you were must have been felt seen when I think Zachary Levi, who is star Shazam, basically call out Hollywood for on the audiences for feeding audiences just garbage of same stories over and over again, and we have to get out of the habit of seeing it to like you want to get original stuff again.
Yeah, but this is from the same guy who made a sequel himself with Shazam. So again, little bit of a grain of salt with that. You did take that paycheck, Zachary Levi.
Yeah, he sure did here. Let's get to the movies here. This is from September 1 on here. So in terms of movies, you'll start here. I did not know they were making an Equalizer 3.
They are making an Equalizer 3, and Anton Fuqua is coming back. And guess what? Denzel Washington's now in Italy, and he's fighting against the mob. Listen, these movies are actually pretty good, and they kind of run underneath the radar. But it's Denzel Washington being a cool ass dude with a unique killing and fighting style. I don't know if you've seen the movies, but a watch in terms of 8 seconds, or I believe it's 8 seconds, is a very key theme throughout. And this movie is just going to be bloody, violent, good fun with Denzel Washington in the lead. As long as the action is creative, I'm not looking for a plot that's going to keep me thinking the entire time. Let me shut my brain off, enjoy Denzel Washington and the great Italian architecture, and I'm going to have a good time. I'm probably going to wait for streaming on this one. It comes out, I think, literally the first day of September. I bet you it's streaming by October, and I'm going to sit down one weekend and enjoy Denzel killing people.
Yeah, also weird that like they have the TV show version going on now too, and they went back to the movie well again too.
All right, well, that's with Queen Latifah. I don't need to see those commercials yet, Mike. Football season is not here. We know that in football season, we're going to see it at least 16 times in an afternoon. So I'm not there yet.
Well, you're gonna wait because don't forget the writer's strike. Not gonna have a season yet.
Oh, true. That's right. It's reality TV nonstop going forward. Our
You're
friend
getting,
Steve Colto would be very happy.
you're getting a lot of Survivor 45 commercials. You're getting Big Brother commercials. They started
The
that.
Challenge, right? The Challenge USA.
That show is garbage.
I have never watched the Challenge. People say that's un-American of me, but I've never watched it.
I watched the first USA season last summer, and it was a hot mess.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you a Big Brother fan as another CBS reality show?
I do, but I am behind.
You're behind. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'll get there eventually here. And speaking of another franchise here that I did not know was still alive, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 apparently is coming out.
You know who's really excited about this?
Emma?
My mom. No, my mom. My mom told me about this. She's like, "Don't you hear? Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 is coming out." She loves the first one. And so I mean, listen, this does not have the same muster that the Mamma Mia movies has in terms of getting a huge audience to go out and see them. But this movie is going to come out. It's going to make minimal amount of money, but it's going to come probably streaming on Hulu or Peacock and have a ton of people watching it because it's going to take place in Greece. It's going to look really pretty and it's going to be happy. And people need a happy movie right now. So I'm not betting any money that Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 is going to bring in big bucks. That's a lot of bees there. But I'm going to have a good time when I eventually watch this movie because I love the first one. I don't remember the second one at all, but I'll watch the third. And also, I met Nia Vardalos, who was the star of the first one and in the second one as well. So I met her. I have a picture with her. So I feel like I have a relationship with this movie, so I must watch it.
You're connected to this movie.
I am. Our mutual friend Michael Demergis introduced me to her at a Greek church, and we took a picture together after a speaking event. So I had a great time. She was very, very nice.
Yeah, by the way, do you know that apparently I found something on the Wikipedia rabbit hole? Do you know that they actually tried to make a TV spinoff after the first movie?
No, I did not. But the first movie was a rip-raunching success. I think it was one of the biggest grossing movies of the year from out of nowhere. So I'm not surprised at all.
Apparently it sucks. Apparently it got canceled after like one season.
Well, I mean, listen, nothing's gonna recapture the first movie. And I mean, I mean, our family too, just the Stanko clan, we use the Windex joke all the time in terms of it can solve anything. If you have poison ivy, Windex. If you have a scratchy head, Windex. Like it doesn't matter. Windex can fix everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to another sequel here. Expendables 4.
This is my type of trash, Mike Phillips. This is my type of trash. Um, when this trailer came out, it starts off with Jason Statham and Megan Fox having some sexy time, and then just halfway through it, it's like, oh no, this is a Sylvester Stallone action movie, and Sylvester Stallone's at the door. So they sold the movie in the beginning with sex in the first half of the trailer, and then they have the action in the second half. This is pure slop. The trailer, frankly, didn't look very good. The CGI looked terrible. But I'm gonna have a good time because there's gonna be a bunch of big guns and a bunch of knife fights. So I'm not expecting the world. The Expendables 3 was incredibly disappointing, but the Expendables 4 is going back to being rated R, which is very, very important. And it's going to be a bunch of attractive people doing dastardly, venomous killing things, and I cannot wait. I will probably see this in theaters because I'm a glutton for shit like this, and it's right up my alley.
Yeah, and speaking of killing things here, I did not know they made 10 Saw movies.
How many times can he die? Mike, Mike, how many times can he die? I've lost track. I don't know where we are in this franchise. I am ashamed to say I have seen them all. I have seen every single one of the Saws, and I don't think I really like any of them except for the first. But I've seen them all. I just don't know how many times Jigsaw can die.
Yeah, well, I guess at least one more time.
Yes, one more time. I need to look up his name. The actor is Tobin Bell, but what is the name of the character who just doesn't die? John Kramer. That's his name. Yes. And didn't Chris Rock direct one of these recently? Oh no, this is gonna bother me. This is gonna bother me. Spiral. Are you gonna keep on going? Yeah, Spiral. Chris Rock starred in it. I don't know if he directed it, but this was like a Saw spin-off, if you will. And it was not very good. But again, I did see it. I've seen all of these, and they're not very good. So I don't know if I'm going to watch Saw 10 because I'm not good at gory horror, but maybe I just have to be a completionist.
Yeah, maybe you do. Maybe this is like with what was that show you watched on like CW for all those years?
Oh, Supernatural. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Supernatural is a little bit better than the recent Saw movies, but I don't know. I remember I saw the first Saw and I genuinely thought it was great. And the ending is one of the best horror movie endings I've ever seen. And then they kept on getting worse. And then eventually became a running joke with my friends in high school. We would go to theaters to watch these movies. And I had a friend in high school. Her name was Lauren Sullivan, and she loved them. And it was the dandiest thing. Just she loved them. She could not get enough, and it scared me how much she loved them. And so we went to go see all of them in theaters. And so I've tortured myself with this franchise. But Jigsaw's going to be back torturing some more people.
Yes, he is here. And this is a next movie here is one that like I saw the trailer for this during Oppenheimer. It looked very good. And this is not the one that we typically cover here. This is more of like the Oscar bait territory here. Killers of the Flower Moon, Stanko.
Oh, this is the reason you get an Apple TV subscription, folks, to watch Killers of the Flower Moon. You know how long this movie is, Mike? It's 3.5 hours, and it's not long enough.
That was longer.
I got 3 hours and 26 minutes staring at me on IMDb. This movie just looks fascinating because how do you tell a story like this and make it interesting for 3.5 hours? I don't know, but I trust Scorsese. You got Robert De Niro back. You got Leonardo DiCaprio. This movie, you have Jesse Plemons as well. This movie it reminds me of No Country for Old Men, kind of, in terms of oil being a big theme. You got white people being greedy, the idea of family, and who can you trust? It kind of reminds me of that. Just with maybe more Scorsese big blockbuster compared to Paul Anderson. So I'm very excited for this movie. This is going to be nominated for awards. It's an absolute guarantee. So very, very excited for it.
I'm very glad it's going to be on Apple TV Plus. I don't know if it's at the start of the movie cycle. At some point, will be there because, like, for me, like 3 hours 26 minutes in a movie theater is a hard time commit.
Yeah, but I mean, we saw Oppenheimer. That was 3 hours. What's 20 more minutes?
Yeah, for me, it's like it's also my busy season.
Now, that's fair. Football season's coming up, but listen, we sleep when we're dead.
Yes, that's true here. Another one I saw a trailer for during Oppenheimer that I believe you were very excited about here. The Exorcist Believer.
I can't wait for this movie, Mike. I'm so excited. And William Friedkin just died. Rest in peace, the original director for The Exorcist. One of, if not my favorite horror movies of all time. I was talking to Emma, and she's like, "Why are you so excited about The Exorcist?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "It's the first horror movie I saw where I was like, horror movies can be like not just entertaining, but like great movies. It's like this movie is made picture perfect. It is terrifying. It's still terrifying to this day. And we got David Gordon Green here directing this movie, Mike. He's the guy who helmed the reboot of Halloween as well. So he did the Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. Now, the first Halloween reboot by David Gordon Green was all right. I think people seem to enjoy it. The opinions on the two following that, those kind of differ, if you will. You can toss your hat in the ring if you like those or not. But he has experience rebooting a franchise. He has experience bringing back stars from the original franchise. This is the same exact thing. You take your time with it, and I'm very, very excited for this movie. It looks scary as shit. I saw this trailer when I went to go see Oppenheimer, Mike, before it was out to the public. Like, I was there opening weekend, it was there. And I was like, oh my God. I literally grabbed Emma and I was like, oh my God, that's the Exorcist music. And then it was the Exorcist. And I was like, oh my God. I just had no idea the trailer was coming. It was so exciting, and I can't wait. I genuinely am super duper excited for this movie. This might be the most excited I am for a fall movie besides Dune 2.
Yeah, let's get to Dune 2. That's the next one on the list here. Obviously, this is number one on my fall list with a bullet here. So we remember how well the original with the Seed is nominated for a bunch of Oscars here. So picking up the story where it left off here, Dune Part 2.
I mean, listen, Dune Part 2, this is the one. I think this is going to challenge Oppenheimer for all the technical awards in terms, and I think this is immediately the front runner for cinematography. The color scope on this movie already, the different palettes that it goes with in the trailer are outstanding. They're visually stunning. The cast is absolutely insane as well. The last trailer that came out, it was huge because we got a glimpse of the Emperor, which we hadn't seen yet, who's a kind of overarching character in the Dune universe, and Christopher Walken is playing him, and we saw him in a green Eden-like field, which is deeply contrasted to the sands of Arrakis. This movie is going to have absolutely everything, and it's going to have more action. So the people who thought the first one was slightly boring, they're going to be more enthralled and more entertained. Again, this is the long one. I think this one's going to be nearly 3 hours as well. I don't know if there's a runtime announced yet, but it's going to be long. And I think the ending of Dune Part 2, Mike, is going to be very interesting for how they set up possible stories going forward in this universe. The way they end this, if they leave a bit of an opening, there's a ton more of the Dune universe to explore. And I think Denis Villeneuve would be interested in it. But if they kind of close it out strong, it closes out one of the best science fiction books ever written. So they can go two ways with it. I'm excited to see which way they go. But regardless, when Dune Part 2 comes out, I will have my ass in a theater seat, excited to rewatch it.
Now, let me ask you, I'm not familiar with the books. Are there sequels to the book?
What was the question again?
Say, I'm not familiar with the books. There's definitely sequels to the book itself, right?
Oh, there are sequels. There are prequels. His son, Frank Herbert, wrote this. His son picked it up after him and continued the stories of his father. They go on and on and on and on. And I read the first book. I'm gonna read the second book before this movie comes out, hopefully. And I'm nowhere near. I know only 3% of the lore of Dune compared to what other people know. And so there's so many different ways that this can go. And I know some things, like, I don't want to spoil it for you, like, but it's the way characters turn out, the way characters change, and who's the Muad'Dib, we don't really know. Is it Paul Atreides? I don't know. The future books may have a different idea. So the way they go about it is going to be incredibly interesting.
Yeah, that's for sure here. And next, probably the movie you'll be least excited for in this list of movies here, the Marvels. After MCU skips the summer, they're back here with this one.
and it's gonna make absolutely. Is this movie okay? As a person who follows Marvel and has watched the majority of their content and has seen the majority of the movies, do people care about the Marvels?
I have no idea.
I don't see any buzz about this at all. Brie Larson has not been a movie star in a very long time, and like the last thing I saw her in wasn't Captain Marvel before Infinity War, and all that stuff.
It
So
was
she
it
hasn't.
was before Endgame.
Yeah, it was before Endgame. It was like so she hasn't carried a movie alone by herself in a long time. And this movie, you need to have watched the television show to know a character in this movie, which means people need to do their homework.
2 television shows.
2 television shows. I didn't even know about the second one. I'm not doing that homework. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do not care. So again, I'm out on Marvel. I don't think the trailer looks particularly good. They tried to go for the funny. They're stealing each other's powers. They're teleporting into crazy spaces. You got the crazy cat that could still kill things. But it's just not fitting my vibe. And again, I'm just out on Marvel. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Brie Larson, but keep doing car commercials and then maybe you'll come across a project that I'll be interested in.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Apparently, I found this here. This will make you even more angry about this movie here. The Marvels is apparently a sequel to 5 separate Marvel projects in the MCU.
Yeah.
It's a sequel to.
Oh my god. Is it like a sequel to Secret Invasion too? Because I heard people hated Secret
Yep,
Invasion.
that's one of the 5. Captain
Oh
Marvel,
my god.
Avengers Endgame, WandaVision, Miss Marvel, and Secret Invasion. Those are the 5 products it's following up.
Did you watch Secret Invasion?
It's on my list. I haven't even gotten to it yet.
Okay. I heard some strong takes about Secret Invasion. I won't say them, but because I heard them at work, but I heard some strong takes about it. So I'm curious what you think when you get to
I basically heard it's trash.
it. Yeah, that's putting it kindly. That's putting it kindly.
Yeah, because I mean, it's one of those things where I'm no longer rushing for those Marvel shows. I'll let them pile up and I'll get to it eventually.
That's like me with the movies. I will say, you'll be happy to know. Download it on my phone. I have Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because
Oh,
I have read that that movie does not reference a lot of the TV shows or other movies. It is very much standstill alone.
it is.
Great, which makes me excited to see it. So, and I heard people like it. Now, granted, I didn't like the first 2 Guardians of the Galaxy very much. I really didn't like the second one, but it is downloaded on my phone.
Yeah, and there are parts of this movie that just James Gunn at his best that you get like crying scenes between 2 animals that you feel like you have no business crying for.
Okay, now here's the thing. This is a hot topic about myself.
Okay.
Not an animal guy.
Yeah.
Animals don't evoke emotions out of me.
I'll let James Gunn
So,
try it.
all right, maybe James Gunn will do. Maybe James Gunn will bring something out of me I've never had.
Yeah. All right, so that's that one here. Next up here, is this a prequel here? The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yes, I believe it is a prequel, and the most interesting part of this movie is nothing to do with the movie itself. It's to do with its star. It's to do with Rachel Zegler. Have you seen what's happening around her in terms of the Snow White press tour that she's been on?
No. All I heard about Rachel Zegler was like the last time I saw her, she was in Shazam 2, which was trash.
Okay, I haven't seen Shazam 2 yet. I liked her in West Side Story. She was very, very good. But so she's on this press tour for Snow White, and she's kind of coming off like an asshole. And she's just like, she doesn't like the original Snow White at all. So like she's not kind of paying any respect to it. And she's saying it's creepy. And it's just like she doesn't seem to have a sense that it was made like in the 1930s. I think it was 1937 it was made or something like that. And
That's
she doesn't seem to be just that's great. Good job, brain. Good. Wow. That was locked in the memory banks. But it's just like she doesn't have any sense of like just appreciating it was made for then and you're changing it now. And I don't think anyone's excited to see a Snow White live action. It's not like The Little Mermaid where people love that animated movie and they kind of maybe wanted to see it come to live action. Do you know anyone who's younger than 85 years old who was excited about the Snow White animated movie and wants to see it come to life?
no.
She's just generating a ton of buzz about this movie in not the best way. Now, maybe this is just my social media space and the people I talk to at work and the things I read, but the things I see are her kind of not putting her best foot forward in terms of this. And then you got the Hunger Games here, which is coming out, which is a prequel, which is going to be a precursor to that. You want to know a crazy thing, Mike? There's a runtime set for this movie. Do you want to guess how long it is?
For the Hunger Games movie,
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is like 240.
$245 for a prequel to the Hunger Games. I don't remember anything about the Hunger Games after the second movie. I don't remember like the finale that was divided into two. I don't remember any of that at all. And so like I think all those movies went downhill. Like the first one was really good, second one was good, and then they eventually went downhill. I don't remember anything. So how am I going to be excited for Hunger Games prequel? This seems like it's a decade too late.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I don't know.
This is all, like we don't have any original ideas. Let's just go back to the well and just touch the stuff that works.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe like this is a young adult story, right? And so there's a big thing about a more of a female audience going to the movie theaters, and they tend to like the young adult story. So maybe this will drive that forward. Like Jennifer Lawrence brought a huge female audience to the Hunger Games as the lead there, so maybe they're banking on that. But I haven't looked very deeply into this movie because I don't have a ton of interest in it because it just seems like part of a universe that was 10 years ago.
Yep. Now let's go another one that might be Oscar fodder here on the list. Napoleon, a epic historical drama film starring Joaquin Phoenix as Napoleon that's coming to theaters and Apple TV Plus eventually.
I can't wait for this movie. Love me some Ridley Scott, and this movie seems outrageous. You have Joaquin Phoenix given permission to act like an asshole in front of everybody. You have Vanessa Kirby playing his crazy lover. Everything about this seems great. I remember when I watched this trailer, I went through every line that Napoleon said, and every line was the cockiest piece of shit you've ever heard. This dude is oozing Napoleon complex, and that was just in a 2.5 minute trailer. And so I think the really curious thing is about where is this story going to end? Where are they going to end the story of Napoleon? Because the end of his life does not end very happily. He ends very sad, a very sad and lonely man. Where's this story going to end? Is it going to take us through his whole life or stop right before his big collapse? I don't really know. But to tell this story is exciting. Ridley Scott is great with big action set pieces, which Napoleon is going to have. And I think we're going to get a lot of Vanessa Kirby, who I think is a phenomenal actress. She doesn't get a chance to play a lot of actressy roles, if you will. She's great in action, but she's also great when she needs to play a serious part. And this is going to be a chance for her to shine in that way. So very, very excited for Napoleon.
Yeah, I'm also calling the shot here as well that Joaquin Phoenix will get an Oscar nom for Best Actor for this movie.
I wouldn't disagree with you there.
Yeah, and he'll be going for his second win in a couple of years after winning for Joker.
And I don't know who's crazier, Arthur Fleck or Napoleon. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we have to see how this movie plays out here. So next up here, Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. As we slowly, I think this is the last project in the DCEU before we fully get into the new stuff in like 2 years.
Yeah, politely asking, who cares? I'm politely asking you. Like I see in the cast for this movie still is Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. I mean, I
think they're getting cut those scenes.
Like, are they going to cut those scenes? He's still second on the IMDb behind Jason Momoa. Like,
I've seen a lot of those.
What is the point of this movie? Like, is he staying as Aquaman in the DC universe? It's like I don't know.
You don't know. All I know is I've heard rumors that that James Gunn is talking to Momoa about either staying as Aquaman if this movie does well or putting as recasting another role or something if this movie does not do well.
Like Jason Momoa as Aquaman was good. The first Aquaman movie was perfectly fine. Like I don't think I was blown away, but I didn't hate it either. I would much rather have Jason Momoa return as Aquaman than Gal Gadot return as Wonder Woman. Like absolutely. But I don't know what we're supposed to know about this movie. The plot is not even out yet. I think they're going to hide this for as long as possible, bombard us with marketing for a month, and then pray that it makes its money back. Pray that it does. And I don't think it's going to come close.
Let me ask you a question here. Did you watch The Flash yet?
No, I have not seen The Flash yet. Is it streaming? I don't think it's streaming yet.
When it should be soon because it was an epic bomb, The Flash.
Right. I think it only made $70 million like opening weekend. Like it wasn't anything remarkable at all.
Yeah, it made $268 million at a $220 million budget.
Yeah, that's not great at all. So again, I like DC Comics much more than Marvel, but the movies have not been good. And I am not going to be jumping out of my seat to go see an Aquaman sequel that will mean nothing for the movies that are coming out in 3 or 4 years.
Yep. 2 more movies we're going to get to here. We talked about this a little bit on the Sky Guys podcast, but Rebel Moon coming to Netflix in late December. Are you excited for this one?
Skeptical. skeptical but excited. Netflix in their action movie streak is not great in my mind. I just watched Heart of Stone, which came out with Gal Gadot. It came out this week, not very good. But it's Zack Snyder here who has an eye for action, and I liked his most recent was it Army of the Dead, I believe, that came out on Netflix, and I thought the action in that was very good. But Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this one supposed to like start a fairly massive universe for Netflix that Zack Snyder will build off of? This is supposed to be like the foundational floor for years of content going forward.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard. Did I tell you the story of how this movie came to be originally?
No, I don't think I know.
Okay, so apparently this movie was originally pitched to Disney after they acquired Lucasfilm as a Star Wars project. And Disney rejected this because it was too mature for them. It did not feature any existing characters. So he repurposed it into this movie.
Okay. I like the idea of the more mature part. That seems great, but also more mature in what way? Like more blood? Like I don't know. Zack Snyder doesn't tend to make movies that make audiences think a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it's going to stay more mature and too mature for Disney with Zack Snyder at the helm.
Yeah, so that's the rumor right now. So like that's the story that came out. So this movie was rejected by Disney, and you read the plot line of this movie. It says here, in a universe controlled by the corrupt government of the Mother World, the moon of Velt is threatened by the forces of the Imperium. The army of the Mother World, controlled by Regent Balisarius. Cora, a former member of the Imperium, seeks redemption for her past and the leadership of the oppressive government, tasked out to recruit warriors from across the galaxy to make a stand against the Mother World's forces for the return to the planet.
Yeah, that sounds very Star Wars. There's a lot of big names and big names and government titles in there that would make sense.
I mean, they called it the Imperium, Stanko.
Yeah, I'm going to watch this because I'm a sucker for sci-fi action movies. I think my expectations are going to be very low, but I think I would be happy to be surprised if Zack Snyder can create something that he can build off of.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I'm keeping on here. The last one here, this is the third movie that the Warner Brothers slate may push back as rumored for the actor strike isn't resolved by that point. The Color Purple, the remake, which is also considered to be a war possibility.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're making this again. A little bit surprised. I think the new twist on it and having Oprah's producing tacked onto it is going to give it a lot of buzz going forward. I think this is a guaranteed to have a Best Original Song nomination, if not two, at the Oscars. I guess I need to see a little bit more to consider myself excited about it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Steven Spielberg direct the first The Color Purple?
I believe he did.
And
Yeah,
yes, he did. And I remember him saying in an interview that he felt he wasn't the right director to make that movie. Hindsight being 2020. I think the movie was still very respected because it was still very good. It was Steven Spielberg. I mean, it had Oprah Winfrey in it, had Whoopi Goldberg, had a very famous cast for the time. And so I think now with a more diverse cast making the movie and in the movie, I think now it's going to maybe give it more of a voice for the current age. So I'm very curious how this movie is going to do because I don't think many people know about the 1985 The Color Purple. So I'm very curious to see how this is going to do. I think this might be like a better version of In the Heights, like which thought it might get some buzz in terms of being a diverse cast that's featuring a part of culture that not many people get to see. And this also has a bit of historical context as well. So I don't know if I'm super excited about it, but I think it's going to be well received when it eventually comes out.
yeah, and definitely gonna be in the awards mix if it does. They do keep it this year.
Yeah, I would agree.
If not, it will be in the 2024, the 2025 Oscar mix.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about this one being pushed back, but this is the type of movie where it's so unique and it's also a story that not many people know that's being remade that you need the cast out there to kind of tell the story of the movie and to push it forward. So without the cast, it's going to be a tough push.
Yeah, it is going to be a very tough push here to see here. And last but not least here, this is actually I'll toss to you, Career. Anything we did not cover you want to mention?
There's one movie you didn't cover, Mike Phillips. There's one movie. That's it. Otherwise, you did a pretty good job. The movie's The Killer, a David Fincher serial killer movie that's coming out to Netflix, I believe, on November 10th. That stars Michael Fassbender. David Fincher movie. I'm in my butt watching it. I'm in my seat watching it. My butt is going to be still, and I cannot wait. David Fincher, a serial killer, Michael Fassbender back. Everything about this is ringing true. This is just Mindhunter made into a feature-length film. Pretty please and thank you. Inject this into my veins. Like the best thing I've ever done in M&S relationship is introduce her to David Fincher because she loves him. And she had no idea that she loved all of his movies. And now we get to watch a new Fincher movie together on November 10th. I can't wait for The Killer.
It's on Netflix.
I believe it's coming out on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check that right now because I'll put that on my list as well. I didn't catch it the first go around. You see, you're rubbing off on me. That I figured out exactly what you want to discuss, pretty much.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the Killer is. I mean, David Fincher doesn't make bad movies. It's impossible. Every movie he makes is interesting, and made with painstaking detail. So I cannot wait for whatever The Killer is going to be.
Yeah, and I'm gonna sit here. Another movie I did not talk about because I had no idea this was related to a movie that we've seen before in this world here. Like, are you aware that like the Kenneth Branagh Hercule like Poirot movies got a third one?
Yeah, I am actually. The Haunting in Venice, I believe it's called.
Yes.
Again, I liked the first two. The Death of the Nile wasn't very good, but I was still entertained. But again, this is just a whodunit with Kenneth Branagh in the lead. He's just very good as Poirot, and so this one has a much more horror feel to it. I don't know if that's just the trailer or if the movie's actually going to be more scary because the scarier it is, I'm not sure you're going to get the older audience that enjoys the Agatha Christie styles to go see a horror version of it, if you will. But I'm excited for it. It's a whodunit. You don't know what's gonna happen. It's just a classic mystery tale. Like I'm excited for it. The trailer was pretty good. You got I believe Tina Fey is playing a friend of Kenneth Branagh in the movie, her character. So yeah, I'm excited for it. Michelle Yeoh is in it, I believe, as well.
Yep. The thing I mean, look at the premise here. It says Hercule Poirot now retired and saw the murder of a guest at a seance he attended. This is a supernatural mystery thriller film. Like, it's coming out way too early. So September 15th is a bad release date for this.
Yeah, I guess so, but you have much more like scary horror movies coming out in October. Like this is kind of like this is the appetizer for the eventual jump scares and gory scares that we're going to be getting come October.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
I think you should like. I think I'll push it back at least 1 week. I think September 15th is too early for that.
Yeah, I do know the other thing I know about this movie is that it's based off a book that is it's one of Agatha Christie's like last books about this character. Like of the crazy amount of books she's read about it, this is one of her last. So it is like him in retirement, him in theory at the end of his rope. So that's the other thing to keep in mind when watching this movie.
Yeah, that's something to keep in mind here. In terms of TV things here, I want to get your take here. The Continental's coming to Peacock. This is the John Wick prequel show, which I think is like basically three like 90-minute events, like episodes, something like that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
I'm excited. I'm a little bit skeptical, not because I think it's going to be bad, but because just please don't ruin the movies. Like don't put any bad John Wick mojo out there in the universe. There's a lot of pressure on this TV show to do well. But I don't know if you've seen the newest trailer that came out, Mike, but heavy 70s vibes in terms of the soundtrack, in terms of the costumes. Everything about it is embracing the era that is being held in. Maybe with a little bit more comedic tongue-in-cheek type feel than the movies ever had, which I think might be a good thing in terms of the setting that it's going to be. So I am very, very excited for it. Again, I like that it's 90-minute movies. This reminds me of like Sherlock on BBC, which just was a mini series. Every single episode was like a movie, and everyone was a spectacle in its own right. You could watch them together or on their own. So I'm hoping that the Continental follows that same path.
Yeah, I'm excited for. The other show I'm excited for in the fall is The Fall of the House of Usher, which is the last Mike Flanagan Netflix project before he moves on to Prime as his first run here. Are you interested in this show?
I have not seen the most recent one, the Midnight Book Club or whatever. What was that? What was
It was like it's like a teen horror kind of thing. It was good. It's not his best. Like this one, I think I'm very hyped for.
Yeah, I like Mike Flanagan a lot. But again, I didn't heard great things about that TV show. So I guess I gotta watch that and then watch this. But I like Mike Flanagan a lot. So I guess I'm definitely gonna watch it. Emma watches. She loves it.
Yeah, there's a big cast in this show too. Here, This is based on a bunch of stuff from Edgar Allan Poe, which is an area I'd love to see him try and go into here. In terms of in terms of cast, a lot of his returning players are in here. Plus, you got Mark Hamill in here as Arthur Pym.
Oh, interesting. Oh yeah, and he directed Midnight Mass, which was really good until the finale. Really didn't like the finale. Yeah, I mean he's made very, very good things. So, and I think upcoming Life of Chuck, like you said, or no, The Fall of the House of Usher, and then he has a movie coming out, The Life of Chuck.
Yep, with Tom Hiddleston and Hamill as the two leads.
Interesting. I got to read up on a little bit of Mike Flanagan. He's been out of my radar, so you're educating me on this one.
Yeah, he's got that one. Plus, they have the book rights to Dark Tower for Prime also. So
Now, see, that's the thing I'm very excited about. Very excited about.
I'm assuming they're
Don't screw that up.
So they're getting that after this movie.
God, if they Amazon Prime is going to be riding I'm going to be riding its coattails to forevermore. If they have the Rings of Power and the Dark Tower and they're both good, you're talking about two of my favorite pieces of fantasy fiction ever.
Yep, that'll be a lot of fun, Stanko. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. People want to follow your movie thoughts on social media streets. I'm going to do that.
I post things on stankostance.com. Every day there's something new. And then on Twitter, I'm at jstanko99 and all social media platforms. I just post all the stuff I watch, and it's a lot. So appreciate anyone who gives a follow. And thanks, Mike, for giving me a platform here.